In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, Suburban Night, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. For the record, so everybody understands, this is a work session, and normally we have our work sessions in the other room. But tonight, because we expected a decent-sized audience for the presentation, we start in here. When the presentation is done, we're going to go back into our usual quarters for the work session. And at 9 o'clock, we have a special closed session, which shouldn't last too long, should it? Shouldn't last too long, and then we'll reopen the work session. So people that want to stay for the entire meeting can do so, but they'll have to wait outside while we do our closed session. So I'm very pleased to introduce some students from Tenafly. I had my high school reunion and I kept saying Tenafly last week and they were ready to shoot me. From Tenafly High School, Matt, you want to introduce everybody?
Yes, I do. Is there a place where you want them to stand specifically when they present?
No, I believe the camera can pick up wherever they are, but they might want to stand to the side so the camera doesn't get the back of their head.
Okay, so you want them up here?
Up there, but diagonally, so
Diagonally,
the camera can get their front as well as the rest of us.
Well, thank you for inviting us here tonight. Thank you everyone for coming. This is my contemporary issues class. It's a class that studies current events, and as part of the Teen Leads program, which is
Matt, speak into the mic.
Sorry.
You can take it off the stand if you like. And the presenters, please, when you're speaking, also speak. Either take the mic off the stand or speak into the mic.
It's contemporary issues class, and it's part of the Bergen Leads program, so they're the Teen Leads version. And every year, the Teen Leads Club looks towards a project of which they can research that's based on a local need. And the local need that my students found this year was a way to revitalize downtown Tenafly. And Tenafly is a wonderful town, but they see room for improvement. As we can always find ways to improve, they see things that they would like for their town to grow. So I would like to introduce, we have Paul Greenway. On the left, we have John Testa. We have Sophie Chan. We have Rachel Strumpf. We have Emma Fitzpatrick, John Viupreti. We have Robert McKesh, and we have Maya Fromm, and they are going to present to you their plan for downtown revitalization.
Hello, good evening. My name is Rachel Strumpf, and thank you for having us here tonight to present our proposal for the revitalization of downtown Tenafly. We are really, really excited to share our vision with you. I personally have lived in Tenafly for 15 years, and I firsthand have seen the pros and cons of Tenafly, which has inspired me and my team to make Tenafly a more vibrant and lively destination. Tenafly is a great town, and we want it to reach its full potential. We put a lot of work into this project, and we feel that this should serve as a guide. But most of all, we hope that this inspires you to make changes that our town can only benefit from. Like our teacher always says, the most successful people are never content. They are always trying to change and evolve. Here we have an outline of just our presentation, what we're going to go through, such as demographic information, survey data, prospective businesses, potential properties, the Sergeant Nicholas Oresco Memorial Park, visibility recommendations, both physical and digital. And lastly, we have some general suggestions for you.
So when we were researching businesses, we realized that there was three main categories that businesses look for in a town, and they are general medium income, medium age, and population. And the numbers you see above you are from the 2010 census. And so we took a survey of 400 students from our town, or from the high school, and we found that there was a high demand for smoothie/juice bars, create your own meal type restaurants, recreational facilities, coffee shops, pastry, bakery/cafe, restaurants, and we use these to figure out what type of restaurants to research for our project. We also asked them what type of cuisines they would like at Tenafly, and we found that they would like American/barbecue/sandwich shops, Mexican, Italian, Japanese, and Chinese. And we found that since sandwich was the #1 pick for the students, that's what we focused on the most. And so
based on the data that we have here, we found a couple of prospective businesses that we think would really fit well in Tenafly. These businesses are, I'm not sure if I just clicked, Jamba Juice? Yeah, but how do I click it up? Jamba Juice, Kosi, Tivana, Chopped, and Sprinkles. With several gyms, health facilities, and spas in the area, what better way to cap off a healthy day than with a nice smoothie? With over 800 locations operating in 26 states, Jamba Juice is looking to build 100 more in the next year. Upon looking further into it, we found that Jamba Juice fits the requirements that Tenafly survey people want, as well as we fit their requirements with the right demographic and the right amount of people.
Hello, my name is Emma Fitzpatrick, and for my portion of the project, I looked for a casual and fast restaurant chain that promoted a healthy lifestyle while at the same time being undeniably delicious. We found that and more in Kosi. Based on our survey data, Kosi is the epitome of what the people of Tenafly want. Kosi serves a unique variety of sandwiches, soups, and salads along with an espresso bar. Kosi's dishes include all organic meats and produce and no trans fat or high fructose corn syrup, as you can see on the nutrition facts here. While doing my research, I contacted Richard Bagg, the Vice President of Real Estate and Development of Kosi, in order to convey our interest in a future location in Tenafly. He says, and I quote, "I have asked our legal department if Tenafly is in their area, our NJ legal department if Tenafly is in their area. If so, I will forward your email to them. If it is outside their area, I can definitely say that Kosi is looking to expand in Q2 of 2016, and we can definitely discuss at that time. In other words, Kosi is genuinely interested in a future Tenafly location." Most of Kosi's 112 locations are company-owned, which is exactly what we want for Tenafly. And as of May 31st, 2015, Kosi as a business is up 1.27%. Richard Bagg's assistant also told me that there are not many strict demographic or property requirements, but they do desire a high-income suburban area, which is exactly what Tenafly is. Sophie.
Okay, so hi, my name is Sophie Chan, and for my next part, I will be presenting Tivana as an option to come to Tenafly. So Tivana is, when we took our survey of the high school, people said they wanted a Starbucks, which won't happen since Starbucks is in Inglewood, and it's in Closter, and it's very close to Tenafly. So we decided to bring them the next option, which is Tivana, which was actually bought by Starbucks in 2012. So we were in contact with them, and they said that they have plans to expand out of malls and into small towns, which would be in my next slide. So they gave us numbers for their quarterly earnings, and again, they plan to expand beyond malls. And this Tivana started out in studio-sized apartments, which would be perfect for the empty lots by Blimpie's on Washington Avenue. So when we took our tour with the mayor, he showed us those lots, and one of my associates, Maya, had a conversation with the real estate agent. And again, this would be perfect for one of those empty lots by Blimpie's, because there are 4 lots, I think, and Blimpie's takes up one of them, which means 3 are vacant. So again, here are their quarterly earnings, and so also in our survey results, people expressed a desire to have a cafe. So we were thinking, since Tivana is a tea shop, they could have seats both indoor and outdoors, and that would work beautifully to serve after people have bought something. They can go eat for a while and do their homework. And those are their operating costs. And again, they intend to open stores outside of malls, so in small towns. And Rachel.
Just one quick note that all of the stores that we have looked into are only looking into franchising stores. They are not looking for people to buy them out. It will all be corporate owned. I don't know if you realize, but according to our survey data, a build-your-own type of place was in extremely high demand from the results that we've gotten, and which led me to contact Chopped. Chopped is a build-your-own salad company. And they pride themselves on their high quality, freshness, and deliciousness of their food. Chopped directly caters to the demographic of Tenafly due to their philosophy of the idea of serving an alternative to fast food that contributes to the healthy and active lifestyle the Tenafly residents like to live by. Currently, they have 27 locations, mainly in New York City. Although they have a few outside of the city, in Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Westchester, the communities in which they're located are very similar to Tenafly. Here is just their profit per store and profit per year estimates. And their 2015 outlook was that they opened around 5 new stores this year and plan to open many in the future, and they are looking to expand outside of New York City, which is also a plus because Tenafly could open the next Chop location.
Hello, my name is John V. Preddy, and I'm introducing Sprinkles Cupcakes. So Sprinkles is known as one of the world's first cupcake-specific bakeries, and its creator, Candace Nelson, is actually regular on the popular Cupcake Wars TV show. Sprinkles is also celebrity endorsed, including Oprah Winfrey, and so it's well-established nationally. Oh, sorry. With over 17 locations nationally and expanding internationally, Sprinkles is a sophisticated and well-known bakery, and it's spreading. All of its materials are all natural, fresh produce, so it's a very health-conscientious bakery, and all of its packaging materials are made from previously recycled papers. What happened? Its main feature is its innovative touch, with its introduction of the world's first cupcake ATM that provides cupcakes to dogs as well as people. Sprinkles is family-oriented, environmentally friendly, health-considerate, and can bring in attention from other towns, which is why it's a perfect fit for Tenafly.
While Tenafly is a great town and not quite at the stage in the picture, there's always room for improvement. These are just 10 examples of vacant opportunities in downtown Tenafly that would be perfect locations for some of the previously mentioned businesses. We already know how amazing our town is. The goal of this proposal is to take something good, make it great, and put Tenafly back on the map, so that the world can see Tenafly through our eyes.
Good evening. I am John Testa.
And I'm Paul Greenway.
And a couple of weeks ago on a walk through downtown Tenafly with Mayor Rustin here, he made it aware to us that the Oval, and for those of you who don't know what the Oval is, it's the area across from the post office near the basketball courts and around one of the main entrances to this municipal center here. And he's told us that it's going to be transformed into a memorial park for a Sergeant Nicholas Orozco, who fought valiantly in World War II and was awarded the Medal of Honor, but unfortunately passed away last year at the age of 96.
All right, so here we have a 3D rendering that we made, and it's going to be, this is our vision of what the park should look like redesigned, and it's just some of our ideas that would help redesign the park. And our major goals when doing this was to make this memorial not only, a dedication to this man, but also a very functional one that would attract a lot of activity to the area. So here are some of the key points that would allow us to do this. So one of the main things we wanted to do originally was to make it more secluded and tranquil and to isolate it from the surrounding traffic. So a great way to do this would be to just add a few bushes on the perimeter, and it would become a much more tranquil location. And also, the other next step that would have to take place would be to add more seating. So we thought maybe something like picnic tables here.
As you can see, here is the memorial with also seating around it. Our main focus here is that the memorial is the centerpiece of the park, as it is the main purpose of why this park is coming into Tenafly.
Okay, so another thing we wanted to do to make it more functional would definitely be to make it, to add something like, for example, we had a charging/Wi-Fi station here. So in this image, the example is this white structure that would be able to provide a location to charge your electronic devices and also provide Wi-Fi. Now this would definitely attract attention to the park, and it would definitely be a great spot to meet and be also very productive.
As you can see on some of the pathways here, we have lighting fixtures, as you would see on any city sidewalk or town sidewalk. And the purpose of this is we want to add light to the park for after-hour use. As one of our colleagues here are going to explain later on in this presentation, we want to bring nightlife here to Tenafly, as some of our surrounding towns have. So maybe have some town nights, a movie night, concerts here, whatever it may be. But we want this park to serve as something that can contribute to the nightlife of downtown Tenafly.
So not only do we want this park to be an active and functional park for productivity, we also wanted it to be a great place for entertainment and meeting with friends. So a great way to do this we thought was this is inspired by European parks that we both visited. So for example, ping pong tables, or also we had a water fountain type thing. So the ping pong tables would be a great place for people to come meet, hang out with friends and just play some ping pong. And it would definitely attract even more attention to the park.
So as we just gone through here, we want this park to be multi-purposeful. We want people to come here, utilize the facilities that we've put in place, the ping pong tables, the Wi-Fi charging stations. And just to add a little side note here, if those of you who are wondering what happened to the trees that are currently there, we want to keep those there. We just, for the purpose of this presentation, we took those out so we could add emphasis to the things that we put into the park, as well as the mailboxes will still be into the park.
And one other thing to mention is that this model here is mainly, it's an estimate, almost to scale, because we put it on top of a picture of a Google Map image of the actual location, so everything is almost to scale. Yeah. All right, and now we have a quick walkthrough type video just to show what it would be like walking through the park.
So as we mentioned before, we said that we want this park to be a functional memorial. And what we meant by that is we want to set this memorial aside from the regular average memorial you would see in town. Many people go to a war memorial or any memorial in town to acknowledge what it's about, maybe on Memorial Day or the 4th of July. But other than that, people don't really go to the actual site of the memorial. We want people to come to this park to utilize it. We also hope, as we said before, it could be a part of the nightlife in downtown Tenafly, part of the day life in downtown Tenafly with the new businesses we want to add. If somebody buys a sandwich or a salad, they could come to the park, eat it in this nice, secluded and tranquil place, utilize the facilities, the ping pong tables, get a couple of your friends, go and play some ping pong. Or if you need to do work outside on the internet or essay or something like that on an electronic device, you could come use the Wi-Fi and charging stations for your electronic devices.
Through the special events survey results, we concluded that carnivals, street fairs were the most popular events, along with concerts and sporting events. We think that adding more fun runs or charity events could bring athletes and town members together. We also saw that all students wanted to improve our carnivals and street fairs by bringing in new and desired vendors and activities. We also believe that regular concerts held in the local parks would be a great way to bring the town together. We are aware that there are some concerts held at Hyler Park, so we suggest more concerts and more advertisement for these in order for our citizens to come out and have a good show and a good time.
Based on the results that Emma just mentioned, what we see is a bunch of kids in our demographic who spend most of their time in downtown. We see what they really want. They want cheaper food because their parents only give them so much money, and we are full-time students. They want later nightlife because really when all the stores are closing at 6, where are the kids supposed to go at 7, 8, 9? We are allowed out past 10 sometimes. And we also see a want for ice cream places and arcades. So really you're just seeing our demographic, our age group, who spend most of their time in downtown Tenafly saying what they want. So let's give it to them.
So here are some visibility recommendations that we have for the town, and we kept in mind the fact that these are all affordable and feasible changes. So first we have shop and dine guides, which would be distributed to local businesses and would also contain coupons to serve as incentive for people to come out and eat. And the dine guides themselves would provide people with information on what eateries are available to eat at. The Holiday Information Center, for that, we would be utilizing vacant storefronts during the holiday season. For example, during Christmas time, we would use one of the empty storefronts to maybe open up like a little holiday shop or something that would cater to the public's need for any holiday items. Lamppost banners, which would be emblazoned with many spirited logos such as Go Tenafly or Go Tigers, which would just provide a community feel for the people. On-street directory kiosks would allow people to pinpoint exactly where certain eatery places are and would also provide them with options for what there is available. Hanging plants. Hanging plants would help with the beautification and the aesthetics of Tenafly and would invoke a sense of community feel from visitors who come by and see how beautiful Tenafly is. And they would definitely spread the word. Newsletters, it's important that it be circulated to Alpine and local schools, so more of Tenafly's events would be extended, the knowledge of Tenafly events would be extended to other people as well. And street signs would help people pinpoint where destinations are, how much walking distance is required, which directions to go. If we could retrofit these street signs onto the streets of Tenafly, then it would allow more of a simple understanding of the town. And the kiosks and the street signs, we actually took inspiration from Montclair, which has a very successful downtown, and people say that those are two key items that make the downtown successful.
Great intro to Montclair, because I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Montclair right now. But first, I'm going to start right here in Tenafly. If you go on to Tenafly's website, what we see is videos of some of our stores, but we see them in singular form. And as a group, and in the surveys, what we found is that it might be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing if we were able to highlight the town with more of a flow, going through the town and pointing out its benefits in one video. We're also going to point out Montclair's website, because as we went through the BID's website, one of the things we found was a great newsletter, but it was from fall of 2013. So what we were thinking is somebody should get online and update it a little bit more frequently. And lucky for us, there's very simple, easy ways to get this done. So we're going to show you an example, Montclair's website, and maybe look to them for some advice. Now, when you first look at this website, on the top right corner, you immediately see other social media forums. That's great because I don't spend much of my time just searching the internet, but I am always on Twitter, and I'm always on Facebook, and not so much on Pinterest, but maybe you guys, I don't know. So you see other social media forums, which is just catering to a broader spectrum of people. And you also see big and clear, nice photos of town events that are going on frequently, and it just draws your attention to some of the nightlife, some of the activities, some of the fun things that would really draw people to a downtown. As you're scrolling down, you're looking at bright and colorful pictures, which it's nice to go online and be able to see what your town has to offer. We want to show people that we are connected and powerful. So get on Twitter, get on Instagram, and do so that more people can see just what Tenafly has to offer.
Pardon, technical difficulties. All right. Okay. Awesome. Well, as a class, we also came up with some feasible ways to modernize our downtown and give it a unique edge. One of these ways is pop-up stores, and they're fairly new and quite literally popping up all over the place. They function much as a seasonal Halloween costume shop would. Pop-up stores are also how a lot of new and trendy businesses are experimenting with expanding their store locations. Pop-up stores are an easy way to bring in new businesses even for a short amount of time. They require little paperwork, and these small temporary stores would be a great addition to our town. We also have longer store hours, like my peers have said, which would promote nightlife in Tenafly and produce more of a money flow at that time. We also have text alert systems, like the Honeywell alert system that Tenafly has for its students, that would alert its citizens about events that are happening. And lastly, like my peers have said about the charging stations, it'd be a very easy way to modernize our parks and make them more useful for this generation.
Like I said before, this proposal is meant to act as a guide, but most importantly, act as an inspiration for you to make the necessary changes to make Tenafly a destination rather than a stop along the way. As you know, Tenafly is an amazing town, and even things that are already good always need improvement to make them great. We believe that our downtown can be a success functional, and enjoyed even more, as long as people are willing to change and evolve. Thank you again, and we hope that you enjoyed our presentation.
Not so fast. Your presentation isn't over yet, because with every presentation of this nature, the audience has an opportunity to ask questions. So I'm going to ask the members of the governing body if they have any questions to address. They'll ask the question, and whoever feels most comfortable answering it should answer it. And when the council is finished, if there's anybody in the audience that would like to ask you some questions, you've done a lot of work, a lot of research, and some of the things you threw out there, people may have questions about them. And to better understand what you said, anybody, Councilwoman Lamastre, please.
I'm hearing a term I never heard before, functional memorial, and I thought that the work that you did with the Nicholas Oresco Park was absolutely beautiful and spot on. But I've always thought of a memorial as being more of a solemn place. So explain to me functional memorial, or how you have activities in an area that's supposed to also be solemn, and that you could respect the area as well.
Hi, I'm John Testa. What we mean by functional memorial is, I agree with you wholeheartedly, 100%. The memorial is supposed to be a place that is a solemn remembrance place for somebody who has passed, who has done great things. We want to highlight the great things that this man has done, make light of everything that he's done in his life and the accomplishments that he has. In honor of his memory, we want people to come to this park to say, look, this man, Nicholas Oresco, gave so much for his country. We're going to go to this park for him, basically. And I think my colleague, Paul, he could explain a little bit more about it, too.
And also, like, something I wanted to point out also was that the memorial is going to be like, we're trying to make it like the center point, so like the whole circle arrangement and have the memorial right in the center. And maybe we can cut down on the activities on the side, but those would just be there to like attract activity that would like therefore like lead to like, you know, like visibility of the memorial by more people, which in therefore would like offer more, like people would be able to honor him, like, you know, more. Yeah.
You did beautiful work on it. You really did.
Thanks.
Yes, I think we're firing our landscape architect. 'Cause we like economically, we like the way you work. Anybody else?
We're free.
Tony,
Two
please?
questions, actually. The first one, outstanding job. The Nicholas Oresco Memorial, in the center, it looked like the monument itself had a lot of writings on it.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me what you're going to put on there?
So that's like it's kind of like a placeholder. It's really like not supposed to be the final like implementation of the memorial. It's more of like it's like actually we found that when it had to do with World War II, it was like the same kind of theme. But like in the final product, it would be whatever the town chooses like and thinks is right for the memorial. Yeah.
Okay. You talk about potential properties. We have this space, and you listed them, right?
Yes.
290 Woodland and 110 East Clinton Avenue. Where would those be?
290 Woodlands, right across the street from my house. Are you giving me a message?
Well, I thought at first I thought it was the mayor's house. I'm like, oh, this is a neat trick. How did we pick those?
Well, interestingly enough, I went on a real estate site that everybody has access to, and I just looked for businesses, like already businesses in downtown Tenafly, and I found a couple of the businesses that we know, such as like Lazara's and the movie theater, but I also found on the site was businesses for sale, not just the buildings, but the actual business. So for example, if you look, and you'll see on the video, I think, but there was an auto repair shop that was on, I'm very bad with roads.
30 Highwood.
Highwood. That was on Highwood, and yes, we see that, you know, it's a little bit further off the beaten path from the main downtown Tenafly, but we do want to expand our borders. We want the downtown to stretch into where the homes are, and, you know, we want people to have more access to all of the activities that we want to enjoy.
I had another question.
You started off with the census of Tenafly. Do you know how many students, I guess in your age group, do you want to say 15 to 25? What percentage of the population of Tenafly that is?
The current graduating class this year?
No, you talked about your demographic and the things that young people like. What percentage of the population do you think that is of Tenafly? If they're 14,800 or 14,000 some odd population.
About 2,000 people.
About 2,000. 2,000 potential consumers. Yes.
First of all, I want to congratulate you. You did a great job. You know, is anybody from the bid over here?
The bid, yes.
Yes, I think that you like the work that they have done, I guess. There are a few questions I need to understand. You have one of the proposal was saying keep the stores open to 11 o'clock. So, I should not say kids, students can populate the area and go in and out. Do you have a specific stores that you would like to have them open that late? Because I don't think that a clothing store or stuff like that would be part of your attraction.
We were thinking more along the lines of the more like established eateries in this town, like not so much clothing stores. And for example, like a bagel store wouldn't be open until like 10 o'clock at night because that doesn't cater to the public's desire at that time. From personal experience, I know when I'm maybe out with my friends and it's around 8:30 and we're really hungry, there's almost nothing available except the diner. So like I know a ton of people who end up going to the diner just simply because it's open.
Yeah.
So to allow that same opportunity for other restaurants just by asking them to stay open
Like
for a
what?
couple.
Look
guess-
at the town right now and tell me, which stores would you like to have? Like,
Maybe stores such as Brasserie or maybe even Che Cheese could stay open until 6 instead of like 4. Mandu Cafe, which I know recently opened, is pretty popular, especially with students. Like they close by like 7. Let me see. Simply Vietnamese, Fuva.
okay, so mostly the eating places
Yes,
that you were looking for.
just that's what.
If we
our main
can
focus
talk
is.
to the owners, see if they can experiment at least to see if they can make money by staying so late.
Yes, that's the goal.
Yeah, because the idea is that they're going to have to pay extra people, but at the same time see if they can make a. All right. The second part of it, I think that you did a great job analyzing the type of stores that are needed in town, and that would appeal to the demographics. The question we have, you know, that we have some sort of a prohibition of franchises in town.
Chain food, chain
There is
food.
no prohibition of any chains or anything like that,
Well,
none whatsoever.
so what would be the next step if you would be here? What would be your next step? Would you start contacting the stores? Would you ask the B to start contacting those stores? What would be kind of your idea? Because I like the whole idea of exploring the whole thing.
Well, part of our project was reaching out to these companies about opening company-owned stores in Tenafly, and we did get a few responses. In fact, personally, I got a response from the Vice President of Real Estate and Development from COSI that he is genuinely interested in opening a COSI location in Tenafly. And I think by doing that, just us, would be putting the right foot forward for the adults of the council and kind of starting that movement towards getting more stores to Tenafly. And I think that would be a new way because I know that I'm in contact with the vice president. And if possible, I'd love to give you guys his contact info and everything like that. And we'd love to work with you guys next year because I know a
So
couple
we
of
have a
us.
whole organization that is specifically supposed to look at that. So we probably should get together with that organization and start exchanging this
Absolutely.
information.
Absolutely, we'd
because
love
that's
to do that.
Very good.
Yeah.
And the last question, can I have a soft copy of your presentation?
Yes,
So
yeah,
good.
we have them.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I would just like to quickly point out that after speaking with Mayor Rustin and getting corrected on some of my previous thoughts, such as there being an ordinance preventing chains in Tenafly, and I asked actually why there's so many nail salons, and you know what, the truth is, because we have the necessity for it. People go to the nail salons.
Demand.
It wouldn't be opening more if it wasn't
Survive.
in need.
You have beautiful nails.
Thank you. And so some of the places that we were looking at opening, they're a little bit farther away. We're not looking to bring in very large chains. We're looking to bring in just something that caters to what Tenafly people want, that's feasible and something we can actually do.
And also, we chose companies that don't have a lot of. We chose companies that don't have a lot of very strict requirements for opening a new store, because Tenafly is a very quaint town. It has set locations that are kind of on the smaller side. So we chose stores that would cater to our wants as well as theirs.
Very smart. Dan, you had a question?
For the list of stores you chose, John Maju's Cosi, they're fairly large. I prefer, personally, mom and pop shops. Have you looked into the possibilities for family-owned or independent stores coming in?
Actually, we haven't looked specifically into those, but the reason why is actually when we went on a walk with the mayor the other day through the downtown, we actually called some of the landlords and real estate agents asking for the listing price of some of the vacant buildings currently in the downtown. And let me tell you right now, the prices are through the roof. And honestly, no mom and pop shop just starting to open up a small sandwich shop could ever afford that unless they won the lottery yesterday. And the reason that we look to small, and I do agree that Cosi and Jamba Juice are larger chains, or larger up on the scale of chains, but we feel that they're not so big where they wouldn't fit nicely into our town.
Also, it is hard to contact individual owners themselves. We wouldn't know where to start to find individual store owners. But
that was a good answer. Thank you.
I'm not going to say that this group was proactive, but we would be walking down the street and they'd see a sign with a phone number on it. And before I got to the next block, they had called that phone number and spoken to somebody.
Oh, yeah. I did speak to one of the real estate agents, and I would just like to point out that from the very start of it, they said, hang up right now if you're not at least starting at $2.5 million. And I said, okay, bye.
Well,
how about the Starbucks? Did you tell them that Friendly's is available?
I did call Starbucks, and if you would not believe how many rumors have gone around the high school that Starbucks is opening in Friendly's. But after speaking to some of the management at Starbucks, we found that currently, and in this area, Starbucks is working to improve their already established franchises as opposed to opening new spaces near their
well, what you find out from large chains is quite often they have specific requirements that unfortunately most of our properties do not meet, whether some chains, for example, require that they be on corners. Some chains require a certain amount of traffic that passes by. There's also sorts of measurements that these chains require before they even consider a location, size of the property. A question that was asked, franchises versus mom and pop, and I thought you gave a very good answer. But unfortunately, the franchises have these requirements that mom and pop can sometimes, they don't have.
But they cannot afford.
The one thing I would like you to go home and figure out is I think for your sprinkles business, the average revenue is $2 million a year, and you figure out how many cupcakes that is required to sell divided by the number of days in the year, and ask yourself the question, is a store in Tenafly going to sell that many of cupcakes a day? And that's one of the things you have to deal with.
For the sake of time, I didn't go too much into sprinkles and its options, but it's actually more than just simply a cupcake bakery. It actually also makes its own ice creams and cookies and cakes and also the cupcake ATM. I know there's actually one open in Manhattan and it's wildly successful. It's also 24 hours and they restock daily and they only use fresh produce because they formed in California and that's really big over there. So yeah, so I didn't elaborate on that, but Sprinkles has more to offer than just cupcakes.
Does anybody from the audience have any questions they'd like to?
If the big wants to ask, because the big members are there, if the big would like to ask.
Well, anybody, I'll start with the bid or Chamber of Commerce.
was actually a bid question.
I need you to come up and speak into the microphone because I'm hoping that the rest of the town will have an opportunity to watch and listen to this
Hi,
on Channel 77.
Christine Evron, President of the Chamber of Commerce, and you did a fabulous job. And I have to say, you did an even better job than the adults that were doing leads at Bergen Community College this afternoon. I thought your presentation was much better. My question was, before you did this project, or thinking about doing this project, had you gone on to any town websites to find out things to do? Was that a source of knowledge for you?
Yes.
Wait, take it away.
So, in our class, we spent the first semester focusing on global issues and what was going on in the world around us. And as we approached the second semester, we said, hey, why don't we hone it into our own backyard and see what we can do around here? So we spent months and tireless amounts of hours and Wi-Fi and data, and that was just all spent on this. And we didn't just look up the towns around us, we looked up towns miles and miles away, and we really wanted to just get the best that all towns had to offer and bring it to Tenafly. Because we do see so much potential here. We see a great town. It has, for example, Montclair, years ago, before it was nominated as the best downtown in New Jersey, was a complete disaster. They had a 50% rate of vacancy, and lucky for us, Tenafly is nowhere near that. We're actually such an amazing town. We just want to tweak a few things to make it the best it can be.
My question was though, did you ever,
Yeah.
years before this, you took this class, did you look at town websites?
Yes.
I mean, I personally have. It may not be, well, actually for Tenafly, I'd say I refer to town websites. Even like before I started this class, starting I guess freshman year, maybe more middle school, I started, because as you get older, you look for more things to do because you gain independence, like you can go out on your own, you don't need your parents with you all the time. So you kind of look for events like, I guess, outside of your town to go to, like with your friends, because there's not always so much to do like within your town. So yes, I did, at least, I still do, look at other websites for events.
Other town websites, not media websites?
Yes.
Anybody else from the audience, from the bid, or anybody would like to ask any other questions? Please.
I'm Mary Hudson, and I'm here with the Bergen Leads Group. You guys did a fabulous job. You should be very proud, and all the parents should certainly be very proud of them as well. My question, I wanted to learn a little bit more about the data. How many people did you survey? I know you said it was from the high school. So I'm curious about that and how you distributed the surveys. And following on from that, because that's representing a fairly small percentage of the total population, how would you recommend that the town go forward and reach maybe some of the larger constituent groups to get their feedback?
So we had surveyed 400 high school students, and we did it through Google surveys. And we could do the same thing for the entire community and send out a mass email and have everybody who wants to in the community respond and just look at the entire town's answers.
Also, like, adding on to what Robert said, what we did was actually every single, like, we got 400 full, complete responses back, but we actually surveyed the whole entire high school. We sent it out, and in their history class, it was actually assigned as homework, and the majority of them did take this survey. It's actually a Google survey, so that way it also helped us save a lot of time because they sorted a lot of the data for us already. But it was actually like really convenient for us to see the data as it was filled out like, throughout the day.
That's a great response rate, by the way. If you get that percentage out of the 1,200 students in school, that's terrific.
The 400 is just like beneficial responses. I was like looking at it, and some people would write like something in Spanish, and some people would just write a couple like designs. But 400 people like taking like even 5 minutes and writing down something to really help Tenafly it made us really proud.
Yeah, we sifted through all the data ourselves, and it was actually really interesting to find like certain patterns and like different preferences that people have, and like based on that information, it was actually so much easier to narrow like specific types of qualities that the people are looking for, and our research is actually much better because of the data we collected.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Please.
Hi, Stephanie Sauer Pasternak. I'm the president of the Tenafly bid. First of all, you guys did an outstanding, fabulous job, so congratulations on all of that. I am standing here with many witnesses to invite you all to somehow if we can figure it out, if you're all interested in possibly coming to, an organizational meeting with our bid board. I don't know exactly where you guys all are in school and how long you're around for, but I'd be willing and venture to say that anyone in this room would be very grateful for any continued help that you'd be willing to give. So that being said, and I also want you guys to know that it's fabulous for a group of students to set forth with this kind of initiative and information to pass along to the adults in the community. But you should also know that you are being heard, and that as the bid board, we are undergoing some organizational transitions right now, but we have been working on quite a number of things that you guys have spoken about. So you should know that hearing it from your mouths is just a confirmation and a validation that, these things need to be done in town. But, you definitely brought some new things to the table, and it's, whatever, we thank you for doing that. But if, someone after tonight will get a contact, and maybe we can invite you guys to one of our meetings.
Oh my gosh, definitely.
Which would be great.
Yes.
And the other question I have for you is, as you did just for your thinking caps between now and then, as you did your survey with all of the students, we've been trying to figure out how to do a similar type thing with the businesses in town, with the landlords in town. And I think it's easier for you guys because you're all on social media the way you are. You can just hit a button and you can reach out to the entire school. So we're trying to figure out, that's for your next class maybe, coming up, if you can think of a way, because it's very difficult to get email and contact information for these businesses and whatnot. So that's been very challenging for us. So I'm gonna put the challenge on your plate and see what you come back with. I'd be very interested to hear.
Actually, I announced that. What we did was we posted the link on our teacher's website. So if you wanted to, you could post it on the BID's website or the Borough of Tenafly's website, and all they would have to do is click on the link and they'd be able to answer the survey. So we wouldn't really need any email information.
If we can get people to go to our website.
That's true.
That's really where the challenge is. So that's the disconnect that we need to fix.
Stephanie?
I'm convinced you guys can do it.
Would you let them know what your profession is?
Yes, I am in, I can tell you other things too. I'm a commercial real estate broker, although I don't look like it right now. But I deal really strictly with retail. So a lot of the people that you guys have mentioned, I've had contact with over the years. Yes, it's a rumor about Starbucks.
My point is, Stephanie is in this field. I would say that she's very knowledgeable about it. So she would be the two. Maybe you'll get the contact information from Mr. Mirabito, and this way you can get the kids together with you. And I think it would be mutually beneficial.
Absolutely. No, it's great. You guys did a great job. I'm expecting you all to have your real estate licenses by the time you're 21.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of the governing body and everybody watching on TV and the audience, I would like to tell you how impressive your presentation was this evening. I'm not the least bit surprised because I did have the privilege of walking the town with you, and I saw right away how serious you were about this. And I think that it's Mr. Mirabito, right? Yes, it is. That you deserve a tremendous amount of credit for inspiring and allowing children. Of course, it goes beyond that, too. I know the superintendent of schools is here, and the Board of Education may be represented, and just creating a culture of learning and inspiring our kids to do this. I have visions of great things for all of you guys going on. The only problem is when you do great things, quite often you don't come back to Tenafly. You do them in Manhattan or wherever you end up. But you're off to a wonderful, wonderful start. And I know that each one of us up here has gained something, and you've inspired us, and we have raised our expectations as to what we're going to have, especially in something like Resco Park, because we know that's coming. And you've given us some great ideas. We'd like to have a Starbucks and some of these other stores too. I don't know if that's going to happen, but for example, the park, I mean, you guys, I can't begin to tell you the process that we would have to go through, the expense that we would have to go through to end up where you are already with this is just simply amazing. And I congratulate you, I congratulate your teacher and your school for doing this. We're really fortunate to have all of you in our community, and parents, because I hate to say it, you can't do it without your parents also, and I'm sure that some of the inspiration came from them as well. So thank you, all of you, for this presentation. I couldn't think of a better way, a more valuable way to spend our first hour of our meeting. We really appreciate that, and we hope to see more of you. And connect with Stephanie because, like I said, it'll be mutually beneficial. You'll help our bid, and I think you'll get some ideas. Because some of the things that we haven't done, there's reasons why they haven't been done. It's not all you do it, you try, you work hard, it's going to come. There's sometimes you hit roadblocks you just can't go around. And that information will be helpful to you as well. So thank you very much. We're going to move our meeting now back into the small room where we have our regular agenda. And like I said, at 9 o'clock we have a short closed session. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Session. Our first part of the work session is public comment. I'm going to go around the room once. If anybody would like to say anything, now's the time. Yes, sir. Just state your name for the tape. Hold on a second. James, are you ready?
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Hercules Venetis, 3 Columbus Drive, Tenafly. Recently, I was talking to Christine Evron, and she said that we have a mayor's wellness council, and I was very much interested in doing something with that. Every year I do a Charles Atlas challenge because I do Charles Atlas, and this year the company is going to have it open to anybody who wants to join. They'll have trophies and things like that. So what I was thinking was I'll invite people to do the Charles Atlas if they want, but if they don't want, anybody in Tenafly or the surrounding towns, and I've gotten emails from like Massachusetts and other places people want to participate, so hopefully we can get something going. Whatever best improvements they can make in like a 90-day period, if they send me like a before and after photo, I'll put it up, and if I can get some local businesses who are into health to contribute like free meals or something, we might be able to have prizes to the 3 or 4 best entries.
I think this is a good idea. I'm going to have the director of the Mayor's Wellness give you a shout, and we'll put something together.
Thank you very much.
It works out well, and basically the campaign piggybacks on things similar to this, so you'll have a little bit of autonomy as long as it doesn't, bend any of the mission statements, so to speak. So,
No
which I'm sure it
problem. I'll
won't.
keep everybody posted and.
Great. Anybody else care to speak? Here. Oh, you want to speak?
Mine's a minute. I know there's 15 minutes. Mine's a minute. First, I wanted to.
Just state your name, please.
Lorraine Capaction.
You might want to stand up so that you can be heard.
Lorraine Capaction. I live at 54 Foster, and I wanted to know if everybody received a red envelope with my letter.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Okay. I just wanted to say I've spoken with people in different. This is about the location of the proposed law. I've spoken with people in different parts of town. One of the comments concerns the view. On entering the parking lot, there's a beautiful sign welcoming all who come to Borough Hall Complex. And this is our greeting to anyone who wants to check out our book, participate in athletics, pay taxes, even visit the mayor. Do we want to greet the public with a bucolic view or a chain link fence? When my neighbors get back from vacation, you will see another face besides mine. Thank you.
Well, we hear you loud and clear.
I know. That's
It's not the volume of concern, it's the quality of it. We understand exactly where you're coming from. Anybody else? Chris?
Yeah, I just want to address the mayor and council. Kevin Tremble, 81 West Developed Avenue. This afternoon I attended a Bergen volunteer leads program, and it was about revitalizing downtown in Bergen County, in suburbia. And 2 things really popped out. One was doing your homework on infrastructure needs, And the second was really all about creating attractive places. Creative placemaking was a term that was used. Cleanliness was noted, and well-maintained downtowns really are part of the key to making it work. So this was a presentation from the leadership group of students for the class of Bergen Leeds this year, and they did a fantastic job. They talked about very comprehensive demographics through changes in how the county is changing over the years, and I thought it was very instructive and very helpful to understanding the kinds of things that go into creating a successful downtown. Redevelopment plan for Hackensack was focused upon, along with Ridgewood and Westwood. Those were towns that were pointed out as good examples of success. So I wanted to let big people know that.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, so we got through public comment pretty quickly, and we're going to move on. The DPW closure date update from our borough engineer.
Yes.
Andy Hippolyte.
Andy, you want to hold your chair up? I just want to note, while Andy's getting settled, the handout that I gave you, this single page, is basically just a guide to assist with the discussion that Andy is going to provide for us this evening. As you may recall, one of the things that we talked about earlier on, or I guess towards the end of 2014, was the fact that we had this open issue regarding a underground storage tank that had been, I guess, improperly removed. And we had a line item in this budget of $18,000 to do the research and testing. And Andy and his firm have completed that process, so he's here now to give you an update and basically apprise you of what it means with regard to the project.
So, about a year ago, the DEP eventually got the Tenafly in their record process of locating sites that were not closed properly when the underground storage tank was removed. A little background, in New Jersey since the late 90s, the DEP required registration of underground storage tanks, whether it was heating or gasoline, types of oils or gases. Once you registered, you had to make sure they were clean, leaking, not leaking, and then that registration followed you. And so at some point, if you decided to remove the tank, you follow the DEP process. In the late 90s, early 2000s, the process was very new, and people were removing the tanks but not necessarily following through with the process. In 2014, the DEP, as part of their diligence, because there is thousands of open cases like this, eventually got the Tenafly's case at the DPW. In that case, Tenafly's tanks were removed, but the project was never closed out. Never closed out means the soil testing wasn't done, the groundwater testing wasn't done, and anything that needed to be removed as far as contaminated soil above the levels allowed would need to be taken out or not, depending on what you found. You authorized us originally to do the original investigation, the testing. We did all that. We found that when they removed those tanks, they never took the soil out that was contaminated. Even though the levels were low, there was still contamination. And there is some low-level groundwater contamination in the area from the soil that's still presently there. That means that we have to continue that process through as if it would have been done back in the 1998-99 range and finish that process out. That's why we're here today. In the original budget for DPW, we kind of envisioned it, but we didn't know how far it would go, so we only put a number of $18,000 to do the original work. Now that we've identified the soil, we've done the groundwater testing, it changes the entire process because what they should have done in 1998 was not done, so now we are here really identifying your budget lines here, how we have to reallocate some money to take care of this process. The process going forward will require additional monitoring wells, the removal of a significant amount of soil in that parking lot area at DPW where the building was going to go, groundwater monitoring, testing, additional soil testing, disposal of soil brought back, and a bunch of engineering reports required via the agencies taking the soil, whether it's a landfill or some other agency, also will require a lot of correspondence with the DEP and eventually inspection during the DPW building construction and then close out after that project is done. That changes this, or reallocates money within this money for the DPW of, it takes $150,000 of the money in the unique items and is going to reallocate that money down to the USD closure process. So what we do is we would take the site work number of 200,000 and the paving of the main yard lot and reallocate some of those monies. I have to work with the architect, which I have not done yet at this point, but we reallocate there to finish this out and continue that process through to allow the bidding and eventually construction of the DPW building.
Do you believe that there's enough leeway in those numbers that we don't have to increase the bottom line at any point?
Yeah, I don't believe you do. We left some leeway in those numbers because there wasn't a known under that building or under that, where that building was going to go. So we left leeway in those numbers. We now can allocate the exact amount down there to allow for
What's
it.
the exact amount?
What we're estimating at this point is $150,000.
150.
And that covers
from
a lot.
18 to 150,000.
Well, 18
No.
was never to do.
Well, no, but I'm
No,
saying
no, it's
the number right now
Well,
is 18. It's going to be 150. I know it's not comparing apples and oranges, but that's the number we have to look at.
Yeah,
Max?
Joel, I have a question. Do we, the people that supposed to remove the tank, the first, do we have any recourse against them? Because
My initial, I wasn't here nor did I see the contract.
Yeah.
Very typical of that time frame. I was a younger engineer then, but when people were removing tanks back at that time,
What
it-
time frame?
in the late 90s.
We don't know.
In
Okay,
the-
I owned a building in late 90s, and I had to remove that one. I had to remove the old tank. I had to do testing, and I had to remove the soil. So at that time, and I even can find the papers, it was a requirement to do so, and then file a report to the EDP.
True.
So I think that the laws were in effect at that time. That's what I'm
The
asking.
rules were in effect, but what happened at the time, a lot of people or a lot of agencies only authorized the first part. I don't know what you authorized, so it really depends on what you authorized back in that. in
We
the
don't
90s.
really have any paperwork going back.
We
that
couldn't
far,
find
right?
any
That's the
That's
problem.
part
is
of the problem.
We don't
No
even,
paper,
we don't even
nothing.
know when it was done. That's the problem. Never mind who did it. We don't
Right.
know when it was done.
You had a registered tank there. It was registered because you had a register, but nobody knows who took it out or whether it was taken out before it was registered. It could have been taken out before it was actually registered. We don't know that.
Lizette, is there any chance to find that type of records?
The state came and conducted an inventory, and if it was in the late 90s, there was a fire in the attic in 2000 that
the
destroyed
fire,
so
fire
much.
in the attic is what
I'm
ends up
still
being
organizing
blamed
the
for
attic.
just about every record we can't find.
Right, we did,
I'll be
we
done by
did,
summer.
in our original scope, we did a DEP search on this
Yes.
file, and they didn't have any records on it.
All right,
Any
okay, that
other-
answers the question.
How much soil are we talking about that has to be removed? What's the scope of this?
Right now, I can tell you an estimated number.
It's a diesel tank, yeah?
No, but how far did?
Yeah,
They were,
no,
ga- they were,
it's a
yeah, they
diesel
were, ga-
tank.
they were, ga- yes, they were gasoline. I'm not sure. Type
Was
of
it gasoline or diesel?
Don't know-
Yeah,
don't know the
but we don't know if it's a 500-gallon tank, a 1,000-gallon tank.
Yeah, but if it's a diesel, it's much less than gasoline. It's less polluting.
The additives in the gasoline.
Yeah.
Problem.
So that will be important.
I have that number here. I don't have that number here. It's you're looking at probably a few hundred tons.
So does this also in conjunction mean you have to get like a soil moving permit from the county? Do they get involved in this?
No, the county doesn't get involved. Tenafly is their own agency, so we don't have to issue a soil moving permit to ourselves. This is covered under the licensed site remedial project.
Mhm.
What would happen is our guys who are now your LSRP on that site registered with DEP, they would control everything that happens. So they
Okay.
control it from the minute it leaves here to it's tested, to the manifest when it's dropped off somewhere else, to the registering of that, and then the reporting back to DEP. It's a very, very systematic
So
process.
how far does this set this project back?
Necessarily doesn't set it back at all. The levels that were tested there were under 10 parts per million, which is good. It's under the 20 threshold. So the soil removal can be put into the contract for bidding as part of that project because
Okay.
the soil has to come out and then new soil has to go back in.
Yep.
So if somebody's going to put a foundation there, you don't want one guy doing
Yeah.
placement and another. So it'll be put in that contract. The catch is that the LSRP has to be on site at all times. The LSRP has to document it via pictures, reports, and all that eventually with the manifest of where it gets transported to, has to go back to DEP, and then the closure documents are filed. So it's highly labor intensive from an LSRP side. It's obviously labor intensive from a soil removal side, and that combined gets you the number of increasing that line to one.
Anyhow, it is within the budget because we have that part of it, so the total budget is not gonna increase.
It doesn't change your total budget. What we're gonna work to do is work with Anthony to actually come up with the exact number. We believe it's right around 150 in that line item. We'll give you the exact number. We're very close. We have to do some calculations for the quantity of soil. We have to do some things with respect to where the soil can go and come up with a per ton price, an actual per ton price of where we think we're gonna bring it.
I just realized it's exactly 6 months to the day. So we have a lot more information now. So our intent is to expand this and itemize it so you can see
Thank you.
precisely. Now, before you leave, you'll notice that under to be considered, we have several projects listed.
It's a good week for Andy.
Well, we wanted to make
Depends how you look at it.
we wanted to make it clear that these were just not new things. These were things that we've been talking about, grants that we've been applying for. So we put them under this list as well, so you have an opportunity. Andy's here if you have any additional questions about these projects.
Andy, you know that I'm counting pennies. I don't have to tell you.
That's good- that's a good
One of
thing.
the things that I see in all your proposals, besides the actual work, is the additional services. And in additional services, probably that's your label saying, additional services may include but not limited to preparation of permits, applications, and stuff like that. Doesn't usually the contractor has to provide apply for permits and stuff like that? So you don't have to do it? I'm trying to make sure that I understand that.
Okay, so in our proposal, the additional services, which I don't think since I've been here we ever come back for any, it's just in case something unforeseen happens. So for instance, if in these projects you wouldn't see it, but let's say we were doing the senior center ADA ramp door and we went to put a footing in, and next thing you know we dig up and we smell oil or gasoline. That's a circumstance we could never have predicted. We may have to come back to you and say the project's either stop or we need to engage in LSRP, so there's an additional service there.
Yeah, which is okay. I'm
Yeah.
trying to say, permit application, reproduction costs, usually those can be done. Permit applications should be the contractor that should do it. And reproduction costs, we have over here a department that does reproduction. I'm trying to.
Yeah, we do. We don't. We do, we do all that in our project.
Yeah.
Everything we need to do, we do. That's in case something unforeseen comes up that requires not a contractor permit, like a DEP permit or something like that. It has nothing to do with.
Okay.
We cover all the baseline stuff in that.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Any other questions?
When do you anticipate the generators being completed, start to finish?
Well, the bidding process will be pretty quick. What we anticipate is the lead time for the generator order is the problem. So that's usually 4 to 6 weeks, upwards of 8 to 10 weeks, depending on the type we pick. So we leave a little flexibility because we're not as concerned about the type as we are the right processes, and that it's automatic and of the like. I would say that if you authorize tonight, we would be out for bid in July, award probably in August, so you'd have the generator by early in October. Unless there's some holdup somewhere that we don't know, an unforeseen situation or an ordering problem because everybody in the world's ordering generators.
Yeah, and you need a very long extension cord because Tony lives not too close.
These will be good. These generators will be automatic. So good.
For both buildings, we're talking about the same time frame, right?
Yes. What we're going to do is one project to get the bid. You'll get the best dollar for the bid.
So even with a month delay, it's not bad. It should beat the winter.
It'll beat the winter.
Just want to call out one of the things that we're going to be, these will all be translated into resolutions for the Tuesday meeting, including the authorization to bid. Andy is going to coordinate with Tony, and we will have the revised budget breakdown for you.
Hopefully I'll get that done on Thursday.
Do we have any questions about C or D, with C being the grant implementation for the senior center ramp and rear door, and D being county open space grant implementation for Griffin Park and park improvements? We also have our director of DPW here.
The Griffin Park, it's already in process, isn't it? Yeah, when are we gonna have it done?
We had a meeting with the committee that handles that for the borough. We have some changes that need to be made. The committee, which I think came up with some great comments, we want to make this park more imaginative or interactive play, not as much swings and of the likes, which gives it a different park for people with disabilities to go to. We have Walnut's one type, Froggy Park's another, so now we'll have this as being more imaginative play. I thought it was a great idea. We're working on that with the vendor that uses state contract. I've had some stuff come to me I wasn't necessarily happy with. I've kicked it back to them a couple of times. And probably by the end of this week, early next week, I'll have both the imaginative play units and the colors back to the committee for approval. And on your, hopefully, on one of your next 2 meetings for authorization to purchase under the co-op.
Okay, how about the Bergen County Cooperative Curb Grant Program? Questions on that, folks? Okay.
That's just we've completed, so we're closing it out.
You want to talk about the microsurfing road improvement program?
Yeah. Always I have a question.
Well,
And we have this contract that we used for the state. Wouldn't it be prudent to see if we can get something even better? Since I think we have such a disaster in town because of this winter, and we will need to do something. As a matter of fact, in the next new business, I will try to bring in that we need to do additional streets.
Can I respond to that?
Please.
What you would think so, but what actually happened last year was that we did this through the Riverside Co-op.
Yeah.
And we bid it.
Yeah.
And the state contract price was lower
Yeah,
than
okay,
the bid.
so you did it already?
Yeah.
Yes.
And in
Okay,
fact,
that's what was my question.
The co-op opted to go with the state contract this year.
Okay, so no, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, I can
Sometimes
give you- I
you
can
are
give you-
smarter, sometimes you get the other one. It's okay.
A few towns that I work in have gone to bid for microsurfacing this year, also very similar to what you did, and they found there's only one contractor left that does it. He bought the other 2 firms.
Oh, okay.
So he also bid on those 2 jobs and bid higher than the state contract, so they're using state contract.
So next year
And
we're
where
gonna
they
have
get
a
more,
The
process.
state contract
they
number
get
is a
more.
good number. It's a
Yeah.
really good number. It really is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then the River Edge Road Mid-Block Crossing Feasibility Study.
Yes, as you may recall, that was a request that was brought to the council by the chief with regard to this ongoing issue of crossing.
Yeah,
the
kids
dangers,
continually
right.
cross the street there.
It's
It's
actually
very
an
dangerous.
issue brought up at the senior center while the chief was there.
Wow.
They asked me to
So
look into it.
we were authorized to ask Andy to submit a proposal for undertaking that process.
But
It's
don't we
actually a
have to-
more complex process.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's a-
Involves pedestrians and cars.
Because of the nature of the street.
Yeah, the DOT has specific guidelines that have to be followed with respect to doing.
It's the width of the street, isn't it?
Width of the street, the number of pedestrians, the cars, the volumes, the speeds, a lot has to be looked at.
Don't we have to have a report from the chief first on that specific? I thought that we have to have a report from.
When you
then
say
we-
report,
Well, he just has to request it.
He did
just a
request it.
request.
Under DOT,
He
he
did
has
that
to
already,
request the
yeah.
study, and the study has to be done by DOT guidelines with the borough engineer. And
Yeah.
then I have to eventually certify it back
yeah,
to
he
you
did
and
the
back to
formal
state.
request, and the council approved it.
I think that's all for our engineer. Do we have anything, either for
Wait, to follow up
anything
on
else? Oh, sorry?
To follow up on that River Edge one, how, when I get the study, then I'll follow up on that. Never
Okay.
mind.
So anything else for our engineer or our DPW director?
Thanks.
Well, you know what, I'd like Bob, if you had 2 seconds, just to give a report on where we are with the planting of the trees, because I think you've done a terrific job, and I'd like the council to get a sense from you as to what you've accomplished and how you accomplished it.
Sure. This year, we did an extensive tree planting program. We were up to, I believe it was 70 trees at our last count. We did quality versus quantity. If you notice on County Road, we installed 10 trees in areas that had been neglected over the years. Where the trees came down, we put them up. The size of the trees were 2.5 to 3 inch caliber trees. They were decent sized trees. And we just have one more tree to plant, which will be on County Road. Actually, the county came in while we were doing the tree planting process. We noticed 2 county trees were rotten and were ready to fall over. So they took them out. Now we already got a replacement tree to put in their place. So we're going to wrap that up this week. Our tree planting program will be done by the end of this week. I want to thank my tree foreman, Mark Schmidt, and his crew for a fabulous job. Not only did they do the plantings of the street trees at the residential areas, they also planted the trees at the schools for the tree essay contest. The Stillman School was elated that we planted two red maples for them right in an area where they had just put about 12 picnic tables, so we were able to encompass their new picnic area with trees and make it a real pleasant area for them to go sit and have their lunches. So it was a great program this year.
Yeah, we planted trees at every elementary school, and the kids came out. We talked about how important it is to plant trees. It's really been very nice. Max?
Bob, you have taken a few trees down on Magnolia.
Yes.
Were you gonna plant some over there too?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
We'll get them on the list. We also did plant some specimen trees in the Roosevelt Commons. We put walnuts. We planted a few walnuts in there, and they're great specimens for the spring. The flowers are just fabulous. So we also went along Dean Street, and we also added another 8 to 10 Kwanzaa cherries to continue the row of cherries down Dean. So when you ride down Dean and Piermont, you have just rows of flowering cherries in the spring.
I'm hoping we can continue this. We have money in our tree fund to do this, so it's not really coming out of tax dollars. And this money has been sitting there relatively unused for a long time. So and we did this for people that, if you remember in the newsletter, we asked people if they wanted trees planted in front of their house. And you say that 70 encompasses those?
Yeah, they were in. Everyone that asked for a tree got their tree this year. We had just one person that wanted a tree couldn't get a tree because we didn't have the right of way to do it. So we weren't able to. Actually, that resident, once they found out that we couldn't plant it, they on their own are going to put one or two on their own front.
On their own.
Yeah, on their own.
That was the only restriction. We didn't put trees only on the right of way, not on private property.
Being that Bob's here, I was going to wait till new business, but being that he's here, I'd like to start the ball rolling. I would like a study done to determine the feasibility of us disbanding our recycling program in Tenafly, in the sense that DPW not do it. And why do I say that? Well, if you look at the DPW, of course, their numbers are down in manpower. By reinstituting those men from the recycling process back into the DPW would be a win-win for Bob and the staff. You look at, we've talked about hiring part-time for the strenuous months of the fall and the spring. That would help offset that, because if you go around, there's a lot of things that still need to be done. There's wear and tear on our vehicles. We've had, as you know, past snowstorms, and we've had issues with the recycling being picked up or not being picked up, and I think all those issues would go away because we would then give it to a private contractor. I'd just like to see what, the benefits versus, I think it's something to think about.
If there's a council consensus to do that, we could ask the administrator along with our director to give us a sense of whether they recommend that we outsource recycling or not. I mean, there's reasons for both, to do it in-house versus, but, we need our professionals to give us a sense of what they recommend. Is there a consensus to do
Yeah,
that?
we did, you might look back in the records, we did it maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
It's
The
done
last CFO
periodically.
The last CFO did a whole forecast spread out. Having the staff, a cost analysis of it.
But we would look at it with the current.
With the current staff.
Yeah, would you do that then, please?
Okay.
Thank you again. Geez, hang around here long enough to get extra assignments.
Fine with me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
I see that.
Okay, so we're a little past 9 o'clock, so would you read we're going to, once again, to remind everybody, hopefully this isn't going to be more than 15 or 20 minutes, I don't know for sure, and then we'll continue our agenda here. So you're welcome to wait outside while we discuss this personnel issue.
Then I don't have to report on this? Basically, what they would like to do is to be able to.
Well,
We need proof now.
The first one is recreation, and
Yeah.
then the second one is youth services, but they're responding to the same recommendation,
Well,
the same
all
comment.
they're asking for is a resolution confirming a policy that's been in place for a long time with no problems. It's something the auditor is asking for. Does anybody have an issue with that?
No.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one.
It's the same thing.
No problem with that?
No.
Good. Now for something really simple, the bid subcommittee update.
Okay, where's
Well, I
the,
guess I'm giving the update because Mark is not here and he asked me to give the update. So that we met yesterday, and let's see if I can remember because Mark was going to be giving this presentation. The results of the subcommittee, what the subcommittee would like to see happen with the bid, would be for the bid to have a maximum of 7 members. Two council members, which is kind of in contrast to how bids work, because they're not supposed to be politically connected.
Yeah.
But the bid in our community needs more help from the council. So 2 council members to sit on the bid, 3 other members to be appointed by the council, so that gives you up to 5. And then the sitting bid will choose 2 more members. So
Basically, the council will control the bid then.
yes.
Because you
Well,
got
so
2 council members.
The way that it was
and you got
originally,
3
yes, the way that it was,
appointed by the council.
the way that it was originally created, that the council made the appointments. When we originally created the bid, that's how we had it. Then we had Beth Lippman come in and said, oh, let's change it. Other communities have the stakeholders buy into it. No. So we're going back to council
Well,
appointments.
I think that our experience shows that we're not gonna get a lot of interest and a lot of stakeholders. That if we want this bid to function and serve the community well, we have to be the engine driving it.
Yep.
Rather than, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to do anything. The owners, the stakeholders would do it. This is far from a perfect world. So maybe we ought to let the high school have 2 seats.
And the last recommendation was that we pay a stipend, a stipend to have, if one of the borough employees wants to be the administrative person, or to help some of the paperwork, how we have some employees that go to the zoning board, the planning board, and things such as that. Would that be part of our budget for the following year?
Well, was anything discussed about the money that's there now?
The money would carry over into the new
I mean,
board.
is there any reason why we can't use some of that money for a stipend rather than? I mean, it sounds. It sounds almost like a subcommittee of the governing body.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I guess part of the reasoning was that that because the function of the bid is to provide a better shopping experience or commercial district, not just in the downtown, but as the children said, expand it beyond the scope of what we keep referring to as the downtown. And that the cost to do such a thing should be borne from the taxpayer money instead of, that's what the stakeholders are upset, is that they're paying for all these improvements, so why isn't this an expense of the community who will benefit from it?
But I think if you're going to do it that way, there has to be a corresponding line or activity. For instance, the people who are paid from the planning board, there's a planning board budget. There's a board of adjustment budget. They're not just paid from...
No, I know.
Well, what you're suggesting is next year when we do the budget, we have a line item
We have a line item for that.
for a bid stipend, or we could.
but do we really want it?
Really want what?
To have like an employee or borough employee to start taking minutes and then, right?
Well, to make follow-up calls and drive the work. 'Cause if you have a board that's totally volunteer, who also runs their own business, then we're having an expectation of them that after that they have to make phone calls and do all these other things. Well, we have other boards that
this
function in a way that they have other secretaries and administrative staff who take care of all that
we've
work.
had this sort of problem, for example, with the HPC, where the HPC has nobody to take the minutes, or they have things that need to be done, and they do have an opportunity to budget for it. It seems like they don't budget for it, and then as soon as the budget is approved, they want money for this or that. Same thing with environmental to a certain degree. There are times when the environmental commission has money and they've never asked for it in the budget. Planning board, board of adjustment, they have budgets, and the professionals are included in those budgets, so it works smoothly. My only concern, and I'd go to the bill, is this to me is becoming less a bid and more a function of the mayor and council.
Because now we're spending money, public funds, and basically supplementing technically the budget of what's supposed to be an independent corporation. where we've always had the authority to do that statutorily because we approve their budget, but now here we are taking actual public funds that are tax dollars and spending it.
But
sort
again,
of
the business district or the
supplementing.
community is for the benefit, we're trying to make it better for the benefit of the community.
I
This is the
understand it.
benefit for the community.
Well, then it's not a bid.
Well, the purpose of the bid was to be able to, we don't have, we're gonna go back to this argument about whether we have a bid or not have a bid. But at this table, we do not have, we never discuss it, nor do we have the time or other committees that want to talk about how to improve the downtown and how to work with the landlords. The function of the new bid will not be any marketing, because that was what was discussed at the subcommittee. It will be simply economic development and focusing on working with each of the landlords to bring in new tenants and to stimulate more business in the downtown.
But the problem I see is, and you made mention of when we started the bid, the council made the appointments. That was because the statute says that when you start it up, that's the way it works. Is you don't have a board.
But we
to
continued to do
concentrate
that for 3 or 4 years into the bid.
I
We
think
kept making the
only-
appointments.
Only 3, right? 3 appointments.
Yeah.
But we have is it's just
I
like
think we
you're
need
passing
to
a
defer
tax.
I don't know why Mark put this on the agenda to move so quickly. You know, I guess it was quoted in the paper that we were gonna bring it back to the council table.
Yeah,
Mark chaired this, and I think in all fairness, Mark needs to be here
Yeah.
to discuss this further.
Let's table it for the moment.
Well, I would just leave you by, my suggestion would be, I like the way you're setting up the new board, although I think for your own benefit, you might want to say instead of 2 council members, 2 members of the governing body, mayor and
Yeah.
council.
Yeah, that's fine.
They would obviously be appointed by the governing body, so, but it should include the mayor in case the mayor wants to serve.
Absolutely. I think it's an
I would
important
also
component.
suggest that, any money to be spent on behalf of this board should come out of the money that's already there. For the time being, let's say there's a $5,000 stipend for somebody, we could last 20 years with the money that we have. In another year or two, when if we were to see that this was going in a direction that benefited the community, we could always change that. We could always create a stipend and a budget, but I don't think now's the time to do that. I really don't.
I think that you would find though that the administrative aspect
Function.
of it, it's going to be heavy lifting. It's going to be far more than what the board secretaries do, because you really need an operational person.
Well, this is, what the board has been criticized about is we've spent the money operationally to have, you think finding a CFO is difficult? Try to find somebody with this kind of unique experience.
But it hasn't really been. It's been spent managerially, but not operationally.
You
But
can
the
find
problem-
somebody there's lots of retired people in this town that are very competent that you say, I want you to take minutes, I want you to make calls, but, we were looking for an executive director.
I know, but
that was the
problem
position that
is
was hard to
we
fill.
But we hired an employee, and when all the bid members are volunteers, who's supervising the employee at Borough Hall? You couldn't expect the former president to come from his business and sit here all day long supervising an employee, and that was very difficult. Like, okay, you're having a group of volunteers. Okay, I can have her make a few phone calls. I can have her follow up on a few things. Him or her,
So,
excuse me.
I think what we need to do before we come back to this book is further define what we're
Job
looking for.
description.
This
The job
job
description.
description of the person that and we'll forget about where we're going to get the money.
Yeah.
Just a job description of what you think it's
Define
worth.
the role.
And then define the role and the cost of the role, and then we'll come back here and do that. And I think that's the job. of
And the
your
idea
committee.
maybe it's not going to be 2 council people and mayor or something, 2 appointed people from the mayor
From
and
the governing
council.
body.
What I'm trying to say, maybe not from the governing body. We might have an expert that we want to put in.
Well, you have the
No, but we
opportunity.
have 3 other appointments.
3
you can
other
make.
appointments to make. So you can.
You have 3.
you-
It
we're not
needs the
gonna-
driver of having at least 2 council members to really push projects through, because we are the ones that are here every week.
What we could say is up to 2 members
Governing
of the
body.
governing body. So if there's only one that wants to do it, then we appoint 4 other people. I mean, we're never going to have too many experts.
We
So-
have too many experts.
Okay, I'd like to move forward.
It's a
Move forward,
function
let's
that the
move on.
board said the subcommittee wants to continue.
I stuck this last item, which is the 9/11 ceremony. I do this perfunctorily every year. because we go into our summer mode, and all of a sudden 9/11 is upon us. And I've always had a small number of people criticize us for not doing anything on 9/11. And Tony, we got a piece of steel from the government.
So I'm going to stop you right now.
I'd love to have something done.
We're already in the works of planning
for 9/11.
For 9/11.
Who's we, Tony?
Fire department.
The fire
No,
department?
not the fire department.
For who?
I am spearheading to have a ceremony there.
Yeah, but you and a group of, okay. So you
Nobody
are.
else, just me.
You said
You get lost.
You said we.
One
You
committee
say
of
I
one.
then.
That's what I was trying to figure out. Is the royal
We're
we?
looking at.
Who's we?
We're looking to
Royal we?
have an event by the fire department, okay, inviting all of the police department, the fire department, and ambulance, some other dignitaries if possible.
Good. We'll do it at the monument.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I
There was one.
Tony, I would be very happy to get involved if you need somebody, but I'd like to be kept abreast of what you're doing, because I think it's.
I've already looked to possibly have the band come from the high school, and there might be a conflict because it might be a football game, but.
It's
I
9/11.
put the-
What day of the week is 9/11? Do you know?
Friday night.
Yeah, but we're not gonna do a ceremony at night.
Yes, we are. Absolutely.
Friday night? We should,
Yeah,
Because then no one will attend during the day.
we should do it at 9 in the morning.
No.
Nobody's
7
gonna be
o'clock at
there.
night is what we're gonna.
Nobody's gonna be there.
Understand.
People working.
You know, that's why we lost so many people.
Very
Okay.
solid.
Update memo. Just report back to us, Tony,
Yes, sir,
as it develops.
All jokes aside,
We've actually covered, I think, everything. We
Good.
The UST, DPW.
Let's go to correspondence then. The nature walk, we get this every year, and they really find the same things pretty much every year, but we're very fortunate. They're quite diligent on protecting our lands, which they steward, and I don't think there's anything else to have to say. We got a letter from Lorraine, and I think what she said tonight was very apropos. I'm sure she's not the only one on Forster Road that has concerns, and I don't know, I know we have on the agenda down below dog park. Dan, while we're on this subject, do you want to say anything?
Are we going to discuss nothing new? I mean, are we going to start looking for other properties or?
Well, if the governing body feels that we need to look elsewhere, then we're going to look elsewhere. Is that
I think that's
the sense I get is,
Yeah, that's the sense I'm getting.
people hear their concerns loud and clear, and in all fairness, they are putting up with being neighbors to the municipal complex, and I know they moved next to the municipal complex, but there's a field with lights now that was never there before, and I mean, I'm sad because I'd really like to see a dog park. My dogs are 10 and 11 now, and never mind me. But we've run into this problem everywhere we've tried to put it.
It's
Exactly.
unfortunate that
There
we
will
don't
be
have
no
a
difference.
location like Leonia.
There will be no
Theirs
difference
is
any location.
Perfect.
I know.
Leonia? Oh, you mean Overbeck?
Yeah.
Because there's a dog park
Park in Leonia on Broad Avenue, that's
and-
not
and
perfect.
5 years later, there's still signs across the street in everybody's
No,
lawn.
not that way.
Well, how about, in all seriousness, the area that's in Walnut Park,
Along the
that's
train tracks.
along the train tracks, along the fence. I went there once with Bernie Ellerson, and we walked that area, and it really is a pretty good area there.
Well, but
I don't know
I
if you wanna
got
look
the
at that
lady,
area?
the
The
lady
issue there,
on,
I
the
think,
lady
is the
on
parking.
Leonard Drive complained about the sign,
Parking on both sides.
the sign in the 2 parking spaces that are indented across from her house.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she's not going to be any happier than the people at Forster Road.
There's a house on Walnut side.
Any place is gonna be the same thing. You're gonna have to make
Well,
a decision whether you make it or not.
Well, either that or you got to find a park.
Along the tracks.
You
You know,
lease the property, the CSX property all the way up to Cresco.
What about some of the CSX property?
well, the
Is
one
there- is
part
there
I was
prop-
looking at was on Dean Drive, but.
Well, that was Green Acres property, we weren't allowed to touch that, we went through that discussion already, we couldn't even have the, we couldn't even have the retention tanks in there.
I think Green Acres would
Why
love
don't we
dog
throw
park.
lats out and put the dog park there?
No, is there any property along Piermont there? Cause there isn't any houses along that area.
No.
No, well, we actually lease all the way up to the Cresco line.
Well, what we're talking about ideally would be the area across from the plaza, and the plaza's set way back. So you've got the area, it's probably wide enough between the space between the train tracks and the and Piermont Road.
No
Well,
parking.
you're allowed to park on Piermont Road.
No, you can't.
No?
No.
Well, you'd have to change the parking.
Well, then you have to go to Grove and walk across.
No, across the railroad tracks?
The
No train there.
The parking area that's across from the woodworking shop over
Yeah.
there is in our lease.
Is in our lease. And no one parks there, right? That's like one of the most underutilized areas.
How long is that shed being remediated with the asbestos on Summit? How long does that take?
The what?
George's TV shop.
No, that's not big enough area. You have to take away the parking lot to do that.
That's a municipal lot?
Yes.
Well,
It's half and
how
half.
about
It's part
we-
municipal and
how
part
about
private.
when we talk about the community center, if we set it back a ways and have the dog park in front of it?
Yeah, that'll be the best thing. Yeah.
All right, Dan, well, I'd be happy, let's drive around the town someday. All right, when you have a moment, we'll take a
Still
look.
say Roosevelt Commons was an ideal situation.
Well, we staked out Roosevelt Commons, but you remember, we got people telling us it was too dense. We got people telling us it's too close to the children's playground. I thought that was an ideal spot. It's a beautiful spot. There's parking there. The houses are really not that close. They're across River Edge Road. There's one or two houses, and
Because the dogs aren't leapfrogging over the fence.
no, I'm just saying. I thought that was an ideal spot, but when push come to shove, you even have people from the Historic Preservation Commission saying that wasn't a good place for it. We had people coming from all different directions. The kids in the park would be
Where we have
scared
the
of the dogs.
skateboard park, we should probably get rid of the skateboard park. Nobody's using it anymore.
Oh no,
You know,
that's very popular.
That's very used.
That's very
Very
popular.
popular.
Okay, let's move forward.
Sketchy one.
League of Municipalities.
League of Municipalities.
Skateboards and dogs.
I was surprised that when they show us how expensive Caesars is. I mean, you could go to
It's
the
more than
Borgata.
Borgata, I know.
The only thing I like about Caesars is it's on the boardwalk. It's walkable to the convention center.
Exercise.
Does anybody have a sense that we should change from Caesars?
Did you not want to switch last year? Did you want to switch?
The only thing that goes.
There was a TV in the bathroom mirror.
The problem with Borgata is in a place where there's nothing.
Yeah, well,
It's in a-
except it's got a great poker room.
Yeah.
Which one?
I think Caesars suits us,
cheaper than
suits us
Caesars.
best.
By
Borgata's cheaper.
$2. By $2.
You can always go to Borgata.
I ended up with
Centrally located, right there.
Yeah.
You walk to the convention center.
Anybody have any comments? Caesars again?
Caesar's is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Tropicana Casino.
Then we have a letter from Bob Lindsay, which I think you've all seen before. We've had a number of commendation letters recently. And the last letter
This is so funny. My wife and I would like to compliment the Department of Public Works for the fine work they perform on our property. What the hell is the Department of Public Works perform works on somebody's property?
No. Well, when they referred to their property, it was a borough tree in the right of way in front of their property.
That's why they should have said, because they say, "Whoa, they did such a good work on my property."
Well, send a letter to these people telling them Max wants to remind them it's not their property.
Otherwise, everybody's gonna want.
Yeah, but otherwise I wouldn't want to come with you.
Two more
bring
votes,
them
Max.
here.
Last but not least is a request. I already asked our DPW director and our engineer to review this. We haven't got an answer for them yet, have we, Jewel?
No.
These people, this isn't the first time people have put like piers on each side of the end of their driveway, not realizing that it's in the borough right of way. Our normal process is to give them approval to leave them there. They give us a hold harmless and also agree that should we ever need them to remove them, they do so at their own cost. However, before we do that, we want to make sure that DPW and the engineer have no problems with it.
Yeah, I'll ask them to give us something in writing. I know that they went to visit it, and I know that they
What
didn't
street's it on?
anticipate a problem.
Huh?
What street is it on?
River Edge Road.
River Edge Road.
They're very close to the, there's no sidewalk there. I was surprised how close they were to the street.
Yeah, so that's just a
I don't
problem.
know how they got built. So under old business, we've already talked about dog park, and where are we on B, resolution of appreciation for law enforcement officers?
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. listening to my counterparts here, and I understand where they were coming from, but I'll tell you, the past 2 weeks in the borough of Tenafly have probably been the most trying time in the history of Tenafly Police. What they've had to deal with 2 suicides. They had an issue yesterday, the day before at Cresco High School, which they were involved with. So I think I would like to see that we read this resolution both at a council meeting and then also read it again at the town event in September.
Well, we can do that, but keep in mind that we wanted to recognize one of the officers not that long ago for when he saved the life. It was on Thanksgiving when the 2 guys went up and did the Heimlich maneuver and saved a guy's life, and they refused to come to the council meeting. So we can recognize them. I mean, I have no problem with that. They deserve recognition. What you said is true. All of these incidents that you mentioned, they handle themselves in a very professional manner, and we don't have to go very far in the newspapers to read about other agencies that don't do quite as well. So, but the question becomes, you know, will
It's
they,
going to be another
will they
snobbing.
appreciate it?
It's not another snobbing.
I it really.
But
burns
we're
me.
not asking them to come to a council.
Yeah, but then what?
I know, but then we're reading it to ourselves.
No, that's not.
I think my suggestion of doing it at the townwide community event,
They're there
they're already there.
We'll surprise
the whole
them.
community, the whole community is actually there, and the whole community could appreciate it at the same time. And if you want to recognize specific
officers.
Specific officers for specific actions,
The question becomes, though, you know, you got 2,000 people at this community night. How are we going to present it? Are we going to have a microphone and somebody's going to go?
There is the stand there that they announce all different things that are happening. So at one point, you break into one of the activities and you have this particular announcement. You ask people to gather.
You can print it on the legal size paper, a resolution, signed by all of us, sealed, sealed.
Sorry.
The county does it that way.
That sounds nice.
I think that's a great idea. Anybody have a problem with it?
No.
I can get you the format
Um,
and the paper.
anything else before we go into closed
Yeah,
session?
I need to say something.
I thought you were in a rush to get home to the
I
basketball game.
want to, but it's something about the new business. Our streets after this winter are really in bad shape. I would like to see if the council would support the idea of relooking at the funds and maybe taking some funds away from whatever to be able to start doing something about the streets of the.
Well, I don't believe that's an alternative. What we could do, if we wanted to do that, we could discuss it with our CFO. If you want to, you know, I mean, what Cresskill did this year is they did a bond ordinance, and they bonded extra money for roads. And that's something that we could do, that's creating more debt. We could, you know, look to bond some
I think
money.
that we'll need a proposal because I think we need to do something about the roads in town.
Okay, keep in mind. Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we already have streets that are on the list
Well,
for 2016.
We realize that, but I don't think it takes that great of a mentality to realize we're falling behind.
Yes.
Okay, and
I just wanted to say, we've been in contact with these residents. There
Well,
are expectations.
Do you really believe that they'll get upset if we do it in 2015 rather than 2016?
No, I don't. That's not my point. My point was just, if we're going to do that, then we stick with the list we have.
Oh yeah,
that's not a problem.
Yeah,
It's
we don't change the priority list. We just move it up a little bit.
Exactly. I don't think that at this moment in time.
Well,
we absolutely need it.
what I would suggest then, we ask the borough engineer to come in and give us a sense of how much money he thinks we should allocate for this,
Yeah.
because we can bond any amount of money that we want.
But maybe either we bond or we have to look at the rearranging.
You can't do that because first of all, you know, I don't know about you, but I sharpened my pencil as much as I could when we did this budget. And what are you're gonna take from Peter to pay Paul?
We've already bonded
Which is what
for
we
it.
do.
Well, we do that after we're done with something and there's money left over.
No, that's
And
remains
that's not-
from completed projects.
And that's not
It's
significant
active
money.
projects.
You know, the problem is to take the average street in town, it can cost us $50,000 to $80,000 to do one street.
Yeah.
So how, you know, where are you gonna find enough money to do five or
For
10 streets?
For Tenafly Road alone, it took us 4 allocations of $150,000 each year.
I'll give you an
which we had to
example.
match
Essex,
to get that
Essex
one road
Drive.
done.
You know, I'm not going to say it's the worst street in town because the streets as bad as that. We've got a lot of complaints.
Highwood and New Street are all the.
$80,000 for one street.
Yeah.
And that's not the longest street in town.
So we need but we need to do something.
So, but I'm saying, like Cresskill bonded for, was it for $500,000 or something?
Can
Or
I
no,
just
no, it
tell you
wasn't
what we've
even
been
that much.
talking? I mean, I don't think the point is doing it today. I mean, quite frankly, it's already mid-June. We'll be doing another budget in October. I think what we've been talking about is that we really need to take a hard look at some of the large purchases, and maybe this year we decide not to do as many of those large purchases and use that money for streets.
I think that's an excellent idea. You know, I would certainly recommend that cars, trucks, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
You know, with the exception if DPW is something that's broken that needs to be replaced, police cars, fire trucks, as much as importance as they are, I think we really got to find the money somewhere to.
But what I would like to do is basically let's start and do an inventory now, so we don't go into October and they say, well, you know, we have 3,000. We need the inventory to say we need 300,000, and we're going to have or 400,000, and we're not going to need to. We're going to have to make sure that that's going to be taken out of the budget.
You said an inventory. An inventory what? Bad
Of
roads?
streets. Yes, absolutely.
We actually probably have that already because the engine. Every time there's a complaint about a street.
And the prices for that. And the prices, not only the inventory of the streets, but inventories of prices because we need to do something.
Well, keep in mind that that's a work effort. When I say that's a work effort, that means we pay for that. That's doing an analysis and doing quantities.
We'll have to do it anyhow.
I think a lot of it's already been done. Like you say, we have a list of roads 2016. Just if we were to say, all right, you know what, let's do 2016 roads now.
Yeah.
It's not that much to figure out what that is, but what the problem is, it's going to be a big number. It really is.
Exactly.
But you can't say, Peter, that you know these big ticket items we're going to put on the side, and then but if the DPW needs something that's it's got to be equal across the board, everybody here.
No, it doesn't.
Okay? Absolutely. A fire truck's any different than a DPW garbage truck?
We just did a fire truck.
It doesn't matter.
It
doesn't matter.
No, but what I'm saying is. You can make an argument for or against another police car, all right? You can make an argument for or against immediately buying another fire truck because it's not like there's a fire truck in the garage and it just won't run anymore. It's a matter of trying to, you know,
And we can do the same for a
manage your
DPW truck
fleet.
as well.
Well, yeah, but
which is true.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
We'll look at all of them, but we need an inventory. We need to know we have $400,000 we need to get allocated to.
I mean,
fix the streets.
in my mind, of the three fleets, police, fire, and DPW, the DPW fleet is by far the oldest and in the worst shape.
And it's used daily.
And we have enough police
Very
cars
careful
now
with
to
that.
last for a while.
That's not true.
If you look at how many police cars are over there sitting all day long, we can talk to the chief and we can discuss about that. So there is a pecking order. We can look at the pecking order, see which one of them is.
Okay, well, we'll look at what streets were proposed for 2016.
And what's the amount of money? That's
Yeah.
what we need to put aside.
I just have two quick new business. First of all, I think we have to address our billboards in Tenafly. It's actually, I'm trying to look for the key word. We're trying to put us with a certain town in Bergen County or in
Which billboard you're talking about?
All the billboards that are down here on River Edge Road, up on 9W or West Road.
The signs.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Well, sometimes
Some
we
of them
allow
we-
too many beyond the ordinance.
Ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, our ordinance says no more than.
No more than
Three.
three, and you can only have three in 4 locations.
We
I mean,
violated our.
9W had 5 at one time. It was really ridiculous.
Well, it's ridiculous, but how do you tell the 5K run that they can't have a sign up there because community chest is there?
Then we have to tell, listen, Then what's the sense of having an ordinance? What's the sense? Then we might as well not even have it. Just put signs wherever the hell you want to put them. Seriously, I mean, come on now.
Well, I
Let's
think
do
that
it right.
we use that ordinance pretty much as a guideline, but like I say, I don't think it's
ridiculous.
beneficial to the town to have more than 3 signs. It looks terrible. But on the other hand, it's hard, it's kind of difficult to say no to these causes that, traditionally go up there. And we could tell Community Chest, your sign has been up for 6 weeks, you have to take it down. But even that, it's one of those things that's very difficult to manage.
Absolutely, the political signs are coming up.
Now, if we also go around the borough of Tenafly, I'd say this year, probably more than any years in the past, I've seen more houses that their grass is extremely high. And we do have a borough employee that his sole job is to drive around and to either issue summonses
Well,
or
first
notices.
of all, he's not a full-time employee.
I don't-
And
it's-
second
it's-
of all, you have no idea of how much time he has to spend in here doing the paperwork
And
Okay.
going to court.
and going to court.
Which is
Okay.
included.
Which is included in this, so it doesn't
Go ahead.
leave, believe me, I'm all over the guy. I'm every day I'm calling him or seeing him in here saying, check out this address, that address, especially this time of year where, the grass grows in 1 week. If you're not cutting your grass every week, and a lot of these homes don't get that care. So, but the point, he just can't get to everything. We've talked about this going back, Nadia, we've talked about this for,
I thought, but we talked about adding a second person to the budget. I'm not quite sure why we didn't add a second part-time person to the budget, because we looked at the numbers, and when you add in health costs, so I know there was a discussion about making it full-time or part-time, but it was more cost-effective to have 2 people on the
That is,
budget.
we're going to talk about that.
And the other person the other issue was
We
we
need
were
to. The
supposed to
town's
give
too
them an iPod with all the programs already in, so there should be no
He does have
paperwork.
I will say this, though.
He does have an iPad.
We also better make sure that what he's doing is the job at hand, that he's not doing an overlap of somebody else's job.
Well,
And I'll leave that go, because that's a whole other discussion for another
You don't
day.
have to leave it go. He's got, what kind of certification?
Doesn't
is
matter.
this, Jim?
Does
No,
not
it does matter.
No, it does not matter, Peter.
Well, then who?
No, absolutely not.
When you have
It's a
nobody
tree
doing
person, too.
another job?
Well,
Excuse
yeah,
me?
he's part of the tree process.
Yeah,
and-
well,
and
he only-
Is he our construction official?
He only,
No,
he only,
Oh.
he
No.
does have an inspection license.
Oh, so
And-
that means
but
he
there
can do
are-
that for Tenafly.
Well, there are things that have to be covered
Oh.
when Bob is out
Oh,
of
really?
the office.
Oh, okay.
you don't want them covered? Tony?
I mean, Bob goes on vacation,
Tony,
Bob has
you don't-
training.
we should shut down when these
What's the
guys,
other
people are on
jobs?
vacation?
So, did we hire him as a construction official, or did we hire him as a property maintenance?
We're blessed that he's
No,
cross-trained.
You're not answering the question.
I answered the question.
No, you did not.
He's
Actually, you did not.
cross-trained for a reason.
Oh, okay. No, that's not absolutely incorrect, Peter. That's not why he was hired. He was not hired as a construction official. He was hired as a property maintenance, okay?
And when the construction official is not
Listen, you got Alden
do-
Blackwell, what is he?
do we-
Construction official? Why, you can't have him do it? Where's
Of
borough
course we
full-time?
can, except Alden is struggling to keep up with what he does as it is.
Oh, my God almighty.
I'm not making excuses for anybody, but Tony, you just can't fly off on a tangent. You have to take a look at the whole picture.
Peter, the whole picture?
Yeah, the whole picture.
Okay. That's-
Construction
Listen,
official
we'll spend a
is-
whole night talking about the building department, okay?
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So
Close.
No, I have to read it.
No,
30
sorry.
seconds. 30 seconds.
Wait, he's gonna read the motion.
Read the motion.
No, start, because we're going
Resolved
right
in
into
compliance
closed
with
session.
NGSA 10
Had our break.
12, Mayor Council Board of Tenafly. Go into closed session to discuss the following matters. One's a personnel matter concerning staffing at DPW, Finance Department, and Building Department. And the second is an update on contract negotiations concerning DPW supervisors. Minutes will be taken in this meeting. And release to the public at the time matters are resolved. After this closed executive session, the Mayor Council will reconvene in this Richard D. Wilson Committee Room to adjourn this public meeting.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, James. You're done for the evening.